Alright, so this is the second scenario. What if we have two ordered pairs and they want you to find the equation for it? Well, you're going to have to do an additional step than what we did in the first part. For this one, you're going to have to solve for the slope here. Notice that we do not have the slope here. In our previous version, they gave us a slope. Part 1, they gave us a slope and an ordered pair. So now we're going to have to solve for the slope first, and then for the y-intercept. And once we got those two, we substitute it into the y max plus b, and you get your equation. So we got to remember our slope formula. Remember, this is y to the second minus y to the first over x to the second minus x to the first. So it's a simple calculation, but remember it's rise over run. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So let's substitute there. Y to the second is negative 4 minus y to the first, which is 14. X to the second, which is 4, minus x to the first, which is 2. Before you calculate it, make sure that everything's correct. And once again, everything is going to order right there. So we calculate it now. In this case, we end up with negative 4 minus 14 is negative 18. 4 minus 2, that gives us positive 2. And negative 18 divided by 2 is simply negative 9. So our slope here is negative 9. We're going to need that in a little bit. Alright, so now we go to the second part. So the second part, we got to solve for the y-intercept, or solve for b. So once again, we already solved for the slope, so we're going to need that. So m equals, or the slope equals negative 9. And now you got to choose one ordered pair. It doesn't matter which ordered pair you choose. It's up to you. Whether you choose this one or that one. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one, 4, negative 4. But you could either use easily 2 and 14 as well. It doesn't matter. Here, this is your x, this is your y. So you're going to go ahead and substitute it into this y max plus b format, slope-intercept form. So your y is negative 4. The slope we calculated as negative 9. And your x is 4. So let's do the quick calculation right there. Negative 9 times 4 is negative 36. That gets rid of this. And then we add the 36 to the other side to solve for b. So this is positive 32 is equal to b. So we're going to need that. And once again, this will be our third and final step for this one. So remember, we already solved for the slope, which gave us negative 9. And we already solved for the y-intercept, which we got positive 32. Once again, we're going to substitute it into this y max plus b. So y equals negative 9x, and bring over the plus 32. And that is your equation for this one. So once again, you're just adding more things to what we already did from our previous knowledge from part 1. Alright, so let's do the second example of this, and let's do it a little bit more quicker than this. So once again, what's our first step when we have two ordered pairs? Our first step is to solve for the slope. So solve for m. So once again, that's going to require us to use the slope formula. So label this as x1, y1, x2, y2. So substitute those values in. Y to the second is -1 minus y to the first, which is -16. So obviously there's going to be some sign changes there. For the bottom part, we have x to the second, which is -2, minus x to the first, which is 1. And let's go ahead and calculate that. So we end up with -1 plus 16. -2 minus 1 is -3. So here we end up with -1 plus 16 is 15. We subtract, keep the sign on a large one, divided by -3. So we end up with -5. Once again, keep in mind you're not always going to end up with a whole number for your slope. Sometimes it's a fraction, sometimes it's a decimal. But that's the way it is. So second step. Now that we have that, we got to solve for the y-intercept, so solve for b. So, once again, we're going to get the slope, which is -5, and we're going to get one of these two ordered pairs. Once again, it does not matter which ordered pair we have. Just so you'll get the variety here, I'm going to go ahead and choose 1 and -16. But it really doesn't matter which one you're going to choose. Remember, this is going to be your x, this is going to be your y. And you're going to substitute it into that slope-intercept form, to that ymx plus b. So we substitute the y, which is -16. We substitute the -5. We substitute the 1 in there for x. And let's calculate it. So -5 times 1 is -5. So that gets rid of this. Gotta get rid of the -5, so we add 5. So this is -11 equals b. So once again, the y-intercept is -11. In our third part, once again, we got a slope of -5. We got a y-intercept of -11. And we're going to substitute it into this ymx plus b format. So this will be -5x. And the b is -11. And that is your equation for that one right there. All right, so this concludes part 2 of section 7.4.